All right, we are on. Bring this a little closer. All right. So yes, so I mentioned just before John came in, I think, I decided that after break, I don't know what you got done, how much you reviewed. We're spending one more week just making sure to review everything that we've done. And I made for you, and Ava, we'll get this, by the way, Ava's having surgery today, so pray for her. It's divided up. Day one, spend 5 to 10 minutes reviewing your vocabulary. Give the 4 principal parts of the Latin verb meaning carry, and you write it out. Conjugate and translate that verb in these tenses. You write out, you translate it. You write it out, translate it. Present tense, future tense, imperfect, future. Sentence 1, give the following information about it should have been sentence 2. Okay, I already have a typo here. Rosas. All right, so you can here change that. On the next page where it says in sentence 1, change that to in sentence 2. Okay. Anyway, I've told you what to do every step. And then the next page says day 2. And I made a key, and it has been emailed, or it will be, hasn't been yet, to your parents. All right, so check it. Nothing that we haven't already done. This should remind you, oh, I haven't done that in a while and I don't remember that. I need to work on that. Oh, my vocabulary is not great. Yeah, it should say sentence 2. So sorry about that. So what I want to do is go through basically our verbs, our noun endings. We just learned the genitive case, our final case, which shows possession. We learned that in December right before break. So I want to review that. I've made up some sentences, and then this is one more chance to really shore us up on anything. If you have a question, if we're working on something this week and you have a question, ask it. Do you have your worksheet that I sent home with you? I don't have time to go over all of it. I might use it a little bit, but my big question is, did you miss a problem on it and you don't know why? Okay. If you miss something and you know why, that's fine. You're going to miss things because we're not perfect. But if you miss it and you look at the answer and you say, I have no clue why that should be the answer and why I'm wrong, I need to know that. All right. Because that means I need to explain it better. I didn't explain it well enough. Okay. Let's do a big review. All right. First of all, let's write all our noun endings on the board. First declension. Here we go. I. Yeah, they're all the same ending, but depending on the job, sailor, poet, farmer. If it's a job, if it's a person that was normally a man for the Romans, then it's going to be feminine. How do I know if a noun belongs in the first declension? For example, I'm looking at a list of words, and I see these 2 words. How do I know which one is first declension? Yeah, by the ending. Specifically, the genitive singular, right? Every noun, because you know they always give you in the list, they give you the nominative and the genitive. If it has a genitive of ae, it is first declension. E, orum, is, as, is. What gender are all of these? Yeah. All right. Second declension. I will not ask you what gender all of these are because it is obvious. E, o, o, A, aurum, is, a, is. All right. Third declension. Now, remember, these are kind of weird because their nominatives end in all different ways. We have words like Rex that end in an X. We have words like Virgo, maiden, that ends in an O. Words like corpus that ends in an us. So there's no beginning, ending to put there, but I put X anyway because I need to put something, and because X marks the spot. So I like to start it with X, even though some of them don't end in X. X is E M A S ibus S ibus. What gender are these? Yeah, they're all mixed together. So how do I know? How do I know any given noun which one it is, masculine or feminine? Well, oh, yes, those are all third declension, but it doesn't tell me whether they're masculine or feminine. So I have Rex, and I have Virgo, and I have, I'm trying to, here, this is why I wrote a book of all the words you learned so far. I have, what's another third? Kaput. And let's put Pax here for good. Yes. So first rule is always, what's the job? Kings are always masculine. I don't have to memorize this. Maidens. However, do you remember what kaput means? Boom. Great start, Caden. It is neuter. I got so excited I lost my glasses. Pax. Peace. Is it masculine?
It's feminine.
How do you know?
Well, we separated the book.
Because you memorized it. That's okay. That's the ugly truth. So for many, which is what I was going for many third declension nouns, we don't have to memorize them because we look at the job, and that always wins. If it's father is always masculine and mother is always feminine, you don't have to think about it. But if it's a word like peace, and it's just not natural to us to think of peace being feminine, you have to memorize it. You have to learn it. And the reason we have to know the gender is because if I want it to be a good peace, and I know I choose pax bona, a good peace. But I would never say pax bonus because they wouldn't match anymore. Sometimes they match by looking the same.
Wait, so if you're in the intermission room and you were to walk up to a Roman soldier and say pax bonus, what would his response be?
Maybe he would stab you. No, I don't. Maybe he would probably just think you were illiterate. Is he just like we do when we speak another language? You know, when we haltingly, like I've learned a little Italian before I go to Italy, and I tried to talk and I end up saying something stupid. You know what I mean? And the Italian people are like, oh, isn't she cute? She has no idea what she's saying, and they would just brush it off. Or like little children, like we treat little children when they say, I runned to the top of the hill. No, you didn't. You ran. But you don't smack the child. Don't ever smack the child for a grammar mistake. You just say, yeah, sweetie, you ran. Or, you know, or we might just not even correct them. We say, yes, you did. You ran to the top of the hill, and you. So maybe the centurion will refer to it as a pax bona, just to help the poor illiterate non-Latin speaker. Anyway, we need to learn the genders so that we can use the adjectives with them. Okay. We also, and you pointed out corpus was neuter. We also have a third declension neuter. Oh, caput, yes. Corpus and caput are both neuter. And it is ibus, ibus. It follows the neuter rule. Nominative and accusative are the same as each other, and the plurals of those end in a. So was caput was up there earlier?
Yeah.
Was caput. So we do caput, capitis, that's the nominative and the genitive. So that's my stem. Capiti. But then it's caput again. Nominative and accusative are the same. And the plurals of those two end in a. Capita, capitum, capitibus, capita, capitibus. Anyway, does that make sense? We're good with that. Okay.
So the T is a blank.
Yes. Well, no. No. Flumen is also one of those. That's why I just put a little line. Whatever the nominative is, the accusative will be exactly the same if it is neuter. All right. So those are the noun endings we have learned so far. And I'm gonna have you practice some of them throughout the week. I'm gonna have you remember, decline a noun simply means take it through all its endings. That's all I'm asking you to do when I ask you to decline a noun. And the cases are nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. What is the job of a nominative noun? What is the job of a genitive noun? We just learned this one. I am so glad Possession. So it's the nouns that we use an apostrophe S with, or the word of, like the boy's book, or the book of the boy. Sometimes the of the sounds better, like part of a field. The farmer harvested part of the field, not the field's part. Harvested the field's part. That's weird. Okay. Genitive. Dative. What's the job of a dative? Yes. Accusative. Ablative. Think about it. I'm going to go get my clock. You can have a conference about it. Have we come to an agreement? What is ablative? Object of the preposition, except sometimes it doesn't have a preposition, right? Because like the ablative of manner, ablative of means. Remember all those ablative ofs that we learned that were just a long, annoying list? That's ablative. The other problem being that you also learned a bunch of prepositions that take the accusative. That wasn't in chapter 12, was it? It was in chapter 11 on page 76. We had a bunch of prepositions. Some of them take the ablative and some take the accusative. And there's another, I have to learn it. I think the best way to keep track of those, honestly, is you see how I'm just keeping track of everything you've learned so I can make up sentences. And I have prepositions and you can keep them straight.
I put them in like actual separate groups.
Oh, yes. No, that's fine. That's fine. So when I say that ablative is the object of the preposition, it's a little bit of a lie, tiny lie, because it might be an object of a preposition when we translate it into English, but it might not have a preposition in Latin, or it might have a preposition that actually takes the accusative. So, and those we have to learn. All right, let's talk about verbs now. We have also learned 3 different groups of verbs. I'm going to have you work with all 3 of them this week. Tell me, please, what are the principal parts of amo? What are the other 3 parts? Amo, amari. Yes, beautiful. Amatus. Okay. Tell me the other principal parts of monio. Monio, monere, monui, monitus. All right. That's how most the normal second conjugations are. Like habeo, habere, habiwi, habitus, terio, terere, teriui, teritus. They're not all like that, unfortunately, but a lot of them are. Can anybody remember? I gotta find one that you've actually had. It's just mean to give you ones you Misi. Mises. Okay. So third, we have to that right. So does anybody remember what mito means? It's a verb. The word mission comes from it, but it's a verb, so it means I do something.
I know.
This was chapter 11. Okay. Yeah, because we just learned third conjugation.
Yes.
So
No,
mito,
it's not like, it's not send.
it is send. So mission, that's why mission comes in, because you send someone on a mission, right? Like you're sent on a mission. So in your most recent, not chapter 12, but chapter 11, the one before that, you got a bunch of verbs and you got some of these verbs, and we need to learn all the parts for reasons that we will see in just a moment. Okay, so how do I, its first conjugation. Do you remember, what do we call that second principal part? It has a name. The infinitive. It means to, whatever. In this case, to love. Yes. Second conjugation has a long ere. Third conjugation has a short ere. This is one of those lines that really matter. So when everybody look in your book, in the textbook here, to chapter 11 with me, look at page 75. Yeah. So on our vocabulary list. So notice at the bottom of the list, tenio, tenere, tenui, tentum. See the little line over the E? But now look at the first word, curo, curry, kukuri, cursum. It doesn't have the little line. So it's third, okay? And it makes a big difference about how we conjugate them, which just means take them through all their endings, right?
So do we have to put a line over the I?
No, I don't worry about any lines unless I told you about the lines. So right now, the only 2 lines you're worrying about is this, the ablative, and this, okay? I just don't worry about the rest of them. They do have purposes, but we're not just not gonna worry about them, okay? So when we want to conjugate a first conjugation verb, actually, let's do a synopsis. Present, imperfect, future, perfect. And let's do the old standby, John. Third person singular. Let's do third person singular, which is he, she, or it. And we're just going to write that form of each of these. So let's conjugate amo in the present tense. You'll see what I mean. Amo, amas, amat, amamus, amatus, amant. Which one of those is the he, she, or it? Yeah, say it, amat. So I'm just going to write amat here. You see, I'm not going to write all of them. I'm just going to write one form. Does that make sense to you? This is called a synopsis. That way I don't have to write them all out because I'm lazy. I'm lazy, Katie. I don't want to write them all out. Okay. Imperfect. Amabam, amabas, amabat, amabamus, amabatus, amabant. So amabat. Future. Now, how do I do the perfect tense.
Put a B somewhere.
Yeah, we go to the third principal part. And our endings are I, isti, it, imus, istis, erunt. So I need the it, don't we? Right. Now, before we go on to monio and mito, how do I translate amat into English?
He shared this.
He, she, or it loves. Translated another way.
He does love, or he is loving.
He does love. He is loving. Those are all okay. They're all present tense. How do I translate imperfect? She was loving. Future.
He will.
And perfect. I did love. Do another way.
He used to.
Oh, that's more imperfect.
Well, it,
I know that's very vague. It's like, really? He loved.
is it had or has?
Has.
Has, all right, he has loved.
He has loved. He loved. He did love. Used to love. The reason I bumped it up to imperfect is because used to has the idea of I did it over and over again. You know, I used to do it. Like I used to, I don't know, eat pizza every Friday and then
He did.
that'd be awesome though, wouldn't it? You know, and then I gained 200 pounds and I quit. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. So the idea when I say used to, it means something I did over and over. And that's what imperfect is. It's something that you did as a habit. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's do the same thing for monio, for a second conjugation. Monio, mones, monet, monemus, monetus, monet. So we have mo, net, right? If it's second. How about imperfect? So he warns. How do I say he was warning?
What's this? The stem is Mo, right?
The stem is Monet. Remember, here's my stem. So Monet, and then I stick an ending on. And I'm writing to an English scientist about our findings in the laboratory. I write it in Latin. Then every scientist in all of Europe knows my findings. And then I have to translate it. Oh, they were writing in Latin 250 years ago. Sure. No, and you just knew it. But, you know, you think about the things we know as English speakers, like the ran and not the runned. You know, we learn it, and when we're little, we don't know it very well. And that's why the grown-ups correct us as we're growing up. But English, apparently, so claim people who learn it as a second language, is crazy to learn because the spelling is crazy, and we have lots of exceptions to rules. No matter what that third principal part is, that crazy third principal part, that's where I'm going to make the perfect tense. And everything except the I is the stem. And then I stick isti, it, imus, istis, erunt onto the end. Okay, and that's how it works. Are we good? Are we good with that? Unfortunately, I cannot help you with the annoyance of why are they not all the same? Third conjugation is the worst. You know, most of the first conjugation have these normal parts, most of them. A lot of the second conjugation have these parts. This one's just like they threw a bunch of letters in a bag and just picked them out at random and decided to turn them into words. That's not really true, but it feels like that sometimes. Okay, so we've reviewed our nouns and how to decline them, take them through all the endings. Our verbs, how to conjugate them. This is not a complete sentence. This is just 2 words. Toga, puella. Let's start with a really easy one. All right. And I'm just going to tell you flat out, one of these is nominative and one of them is genitive. I'll just tell you that. Yes. 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 So the one with the genitive ending is the one that gets the apostrophe, or the one we describe with of the girl. So this is the girl's toga or the toga of the girl, right? How about cinium belli? sentence might have to play around with a little bit. But it can't be sign. It is the war sign. It can't be the signs war. Because whatever is genitive are of war. Okay, let's do mater militis.
Soldier's mother.
The soldier's mother, or the mother of the soldier. Both of those are fine. One more. Germanus regis. Yes. Not the queen. That would be reginae. But or maybe you said it right. Did you say queen's mother?
I said the queens.
There were multiple queens. It would make sense. But does it make sense? So when you go to the verb first, you know whether it's a he or a they. You kind of know what you're looking for. Is it singular or plural? But then sometimes you have more than one choice. Also, usually the thing possessing it comes second. The sailors of the queen. Usually, but it doesn't have to. Okay.
So they're both AEs. What does that mean? They're like linked.
This is a really good observation. If one of them was a noun and one of them was an adjective, like if it were nautai boni, it would tell me they are good sailors and that they are linked. But in this case, no, because it could be just one. I'd have to change my verb. The sailor of the queen fears the tyrant. And now they don't match anymore. But I'm just telling you that there's one. Now there's one sailor.
So only adjectives match.
Yes. Only adjectives and their nouns have to match. Which, remember, that this is a good time to mention, that doesn't mean they will always look the same. For example, if he is a good king, he is a rex bonus. Because rex is nominative and it's masculine and it's singular. And bonus is nominative and masculine and singular. They don't look the same, but they do actually match.
Yeah, because they can't be the same.
Right, because they're two different declensions. They don't use the same endings, so they can't ever look the same. Okay. Does that make sense? Quos patris ad oppidum, because I thought we ought to have a prepositional phrase, mitto. Find me a verb. Mitto. What does mitto mean? We just send. Who is doing the sending? I mean, just looking at mitto. I. So am I going to have another subject somewhere in my sentence if I is the subject? No. I is the subject of the sentence. I send. I am sending. What am I sending? Is there a direct object? Something that's accusative? That's good.
The second declension, the equus.
Equos. I am sending. How many? Is it singular or plural? I am sending horses.
Sending horses to war.
No, I am sending horses. The father's not doing it.
Oh,
And the father is not nominative, so he can't be.
I said my father's horses.
Yes. I send the horses of the father or father's horses to the town. Yes. Does that make sense? Everybody see it? Okay. I'm so happy. One more. Puer filiam pulchram poetae videbat. Tell me all about the verb.
Pregnancy is in the imperfect tense. Third person singular.
Okay. And put that in English for me then. All that information, put it in English.
He sure was seeing.
He, she, or it was seeing. It. What could be my he, she, or it? Is there something that could be the he, she, or it that's doing the seeing?
The boy.
Boy, because it's nominative. The boy was seeing, or was looking at, we can say. Filium. It's a direct object. What is filia?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Oh, okay. Does anybody remember? Because you got it right. It's the direct object, definitely. What is a filia?
Woman?
It is a particular sort of woman,
Oh,
a special woman. Daughter.
oh, daughter.
Daughter. The boy was seeing the daughter.
There we go.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes. See, and here's your link, right? We know that the daughter is the one who's beautiful because they have endings that match. It's not the poet that's beautiful. Although he might be very good looking, but he would have to have a completely different ending. And then of the poet. This is tricky. This is tricky because if you look at poetai, not only can it be a subject, which we know it's not because our subject isn't a they, it can also be an indirect object to the poet or for the poet. But the thing is, that wouldn't make sense in this sentence at all. The boy was seeing the daughter to the poet, like that. Nobody's getting anything in this sentence. There's no indirect object. So process of elimination tells me it must be the poet's beautiful daughter. Boom. I'm very psyched. I think you guys are going to do great. I would like you to do this paper. Check it. Like I said, when I get home, and here I was so lazy. All I did was I wrote the answers in ink and I scanned them because it was just too much trouble to type them all in columns and everything. So I just printed yours out and typed them in or scanned them in. And then I would like you to bring this back, next week so that I can see when you check it. If you don't understand why, make a big mark by it. Use colored marker or something like that, or put a big star by it. Say, ask Mrs. Ferguson. All right. And then next week, I will probably give you some sort of take home closed book quiz. All right. Just like a noun, some verb things, just like one page, not a big deal. Okay. And I will have you take that home and just do it and bring it back to me so I can just see what we need to work on. And then we will start chapter 13 next week. And we will learn how to do the imperfect and future tense in those third conjugation verbs, the ones that I just put an X by and I said, you don't know how to do that yet. Next week, you will know how to do it. All right, we're going to stop. Let my voice get rest. It's only 11:18, but unless anybody has any questions or you have something particular you'd like to go over. Anything? Okay.